We are live. Welcome everybody to the Best Life series, my bi-weekly interview where I sit down with inspired professionals that share their wisdom to help you thrive. My name is Alex Gard. I'm founder of Thrive Therapy and Consulting, my private practice in Fort Lauderdale and now Miami, where I specialize in helping women reconnect with themselves, strengthen their relationships, and claim their joy. Today, I am so excited to be sitting down with longtime mentor, friend, colleague, Kate Campbell, and she's going to be sharing a little bit of her wisdom with you guys. So before we jump into the interview, Dr. Kate, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes. Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Kate Campbell. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have to say hi to Mindy. Hey, Mindy.
Hi, Mindy.
So nice to see your smiling face and your wave. I have a group private practice actually in East Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Alex is on our team, part of our Bayview Therapy family.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually am super passionate about working with individuals and couples, and I'm really excited about today's topic.
I am too.
Yes.
I am too. So our topic for the day is how to navigate the transition from couple to first-time parent, which I'm super excited about because I'll be on the brink of that soon-ish. So I'm really excited. I know it's applicable to so many people listening. So we're thrilled to bring this to you. And I know Dr. Kate's super excited about the topic as well. So before we jump in there, my first question is, why is this an important topic to discuss? And why is it so important and personal for you to share?
Okay, great questions. Well, in my practice, I do work with a lot of individuals and couples, and over the years, gosh, I've been working in private practice for 12 years now.
Wow.
And time flies. It's amazing. When you love what you do, it just really flies.
Yeah.
And a lot of the couples and individuals too, that I work with go through the journey from being an individual or being a couple in a relationship. Today, we're really focusing more on couples.
Yeah.
And getting pregnant. And it's usually just such an exciting time for them. And they are just filled with joy and really looking forward to that transition from 2 to 3, which is definitely a big transition. And a lot of times couples don't really take the time to explore some of the really important areas to discuss to make sure that their relationship is as strong as it possibly can be. They're on the same page. They have a really good foundation.
Right.
Before going into that transition, because the transition, there's so much that happens that is outside of your control, and you don't really know what to expect as a first-time parent.
Right.
And so being able to have conversations about, expectations and roles and responsibilities and what life is going to be like after you have children, it really can help to set you up to make the transition so much smoother.
Right. So having these conversations ahead of time, it sounds like are really important. So before you're pregnant even, or before the baby's here, to really get on board and have these really important conversations to prepare.
Yeah, definitely. And even the most strong, healthy, happy relationships go through a huge adjustment period in having a child. Definitely. This is a topic that's very near and dear to my own heart. And my husband and I'm so blessed to have a great relationship with him. We've been together for over 10 years, 11 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had a great relationship. And as a therapist, I expected, we'll be able to navigate this transition like totally smooth, right?
Yeah, like I got this.
Yeah, we have great communication and all of that. But it was a totally different experience. We had never experienced this journey as a couple before. So there's a lot of new things to go through. And for my own journey, after having 36 hours of labor and 3.5 hours of pushing, finally my beautiful son, who's now, he's about 3.5 now, and just the light of our life, he arrived, and he actually popped a little hole in his lung and needed to go into the NICU for a week. And so that was obviously a very concerning, scary time for us as a couple.
So scary, yeah.
And thank God he was able to recover from that. And that period of time was really hard for us because we actually had to leave the hospital before he did. And I can remember, just being so overwhelmed with so many emotions, not to mention all of the hormones and everything else that you're
already dealing with, right?
So many different changes.
Yeah.
So that was a really difficult time for us. And I actually went through some postpartum depression and anxiety. And as a therapist, that was weird for me to be on the flip side, kind of going through that. And very difficult. And I try and be open and talking about my experiences with that to be able to help other people.
Absolutely.
Because there can be a lot of shame, and women, feel uncomfortable talking about some of the things that they're struggling with, because it is supposed to be such a beautiful time. You're welcoming this little bundle of joy into the world, and there's nothing more exciting and meaningful than that.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm so glad that you have the courage to share that with our audience, because I'm sure a lot of women listening, don't really have someone that they feel they can talk with about that. There's still such a stigma and shame, and for whatever reason, it's still this taboo thing that we shouldn't struggle with postpartum depression, or there's something shameful about it. And so I think just us having this conversation is so helpful for people listening, because it kind of normalizes that this is something that happens, and it's okay. And there's someone else that's going through it who's a professional, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. So I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. From what the research shows, it's actually 1 in 7 women struggle with postpartum mood disorder. So that could be anxiety or depression,
right?
Even psychosis on more extreme cases. So there are a ton of resources out there, and it's not anything to feel ashamed about or afraid of talking about. It's actually so healing and helpful to talk about these things, kind of put them out in the open,
right?
Which is why, I shared my story, just the high level with you guys, not getting into too much of the detail.
Sure.
But I just, fully believe it's such a important topic to talk about. And when I work with couples, I often talk to them about 4 different areas that they can really focus on. So I don't know if we want to shift into that.
Yeah, we can kind of shift in some take homes for the audience, because we always like these conversations to be informative, but then also something that listeners can kind of take with them and utilize at home or with their partner. So yeah, we can shift into that. I think that's great.
Awesome. Yeah. So the first, really it's 4 tips for how to be able to navigate as a couple transitioning into parenthood as first-time parents.
Yes.
So tip number 1 would be really get clear on your expectations of yourself and of your partner. Talk about things. Don't just assume. Talk about your roles, your responsibilities, and set some realistic expectations for yourself and your partner too, because it's a difficult time, and it's going to be important to know your limitations and know when you need to ask for help.
Right.
Yeah. So those are some really important conversations to have. Number 2 would be to have open communication. Keep the dialogue open with your partner throughout this transition. Make sure you're checking in with each other for at least like 20 minutes a day. How is this process going for you? What are you struggling with? What can I help you with? Just really checking in, not just about like the logistics of things and the schedule and all of that, but really taking the time to talk about those things on a deeper level.
When would you say that these conversations should start? Like, I don't know, 3 months into your pregnancy? Like, when maybe there's not like a magic number, but when would you encourage people to start having these kinds of conversations?
I mean, all through your journey. These are great conversations, and these tips can carry forth not just for couples who are becoming first-time parents, but all throughout relationships.
Yeah. I mean, I think they would even be important, and I can share this personally with me. Like, I'm not pregnant, but I want to be at some point. So I think even having these conversations with my husband now before we start the journey would be helpful in terms of, being prepared, knowing what to expect and all of that.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So this is really beneficial for wherever you are in the journey. I'm glad you bring that up. So the third topic would be to really show yourself compassion and your partner compassion as well. So be compassionate. Be gentle with yourself. It's a huge transition, and you're navigating uncharted waters for the first time. There's a huge learning curve to becoming a new parent. Right. Seriously, you could read like every book out there trying to prepare. Yeah. And then every baby is a one size, it's like every baby is so unique. Right. Not what fits for everybody else is going to fit for your baby. So it's going to be figuring out a lot of those things as you go through and you experience it. So show yourself compassion, show your partner compassion, be flexible, try to be understanding and accommodating during the transition. Yeah, I love that. And I just want to reiterate that, so many women that I work with in my practice feel like this pressure that there's a right way to do it. Yes. There's a right way to be a mom. There's a right way to parent. And I think what you're talking about is taking a step back and just being gentle and compassionate with yourself and knowing there really is no right or wrong way. Like, you kind of are having to figure it out as you go. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. And every parent wants to do their best, right? And when you have a little baby that you're trying to keep alive and thrive and figuring out all of this stuff, mom guilt is something that can really pop in. Am I doing this correctly? Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right?
Right.
So it's really just, being true to yourself, being compassionate to yourself and to your partner. And that's a really important thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So tip number 4 would be to safeguard your relationship. So once you get through the initial survival phase of the first month to 6 weeks, it's really important to kind of realign your goals a little bit and focus on prioritizing your relationship. Make sure, you're able to have some time just with your partner, just to connect, some adult time. It's really important to have that individually and then as a couple as well. And then as your baby gets a little bit older, it's going to be important to have someone help, whether it's a friend that you trust or a family member or even a nanny. Once you get to that point where you're comfortable leaving your baby for a little while and actually getting out of the house, doing something as a couple, maybe doing something fun that you guys used to enjoy before the baby came, so that you can really nurture your relationship with your partner.
Yes.
It's so easy to put the baby first and the kids first, and that's something that I see with a lot of the couples that I work with is they find themselves many years down the road, they're launching their kids out of the nest and they go, I don't even know who my partner is anymore.
Yeah.
Everything has been about the family and the kids. So that's a really important thing to safeguard your relationship and protect it.
Yeah, I love that tip. And I find that too with a lot of my female clients, even if their kids are much older, that they're like, I'm so used to being a parent. My identity has been forged in being a mother for so long that I forgot how to be a partner.
Yeah.
And so that could probably be a whole other Facebook Live that we talk about, but it is such an important tip to safeguard your relationship. I love that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on to talk about a topic that's so near and dear to my heart. Yeah.
Thank you for being, vulnerable and brave and sharing a little bit about your experiences. If people are listening and they feel inspired by what we've shared today, where can they find your info?
Yeah, so visit our website, bayviewtherapy.com. And if you want to reach out to me, you can email me at dr.kate@bayviewtherapy.com, and I will be happy to connect you with a therapist or help in any way possible.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being my 5th interview. I can't believe I can say that. It's so exciting. Number 5. I love it. As usual, I will be back on Facebook Live in 2 Tuesdays from now. We're trying to keep these bi-weekly. So I'll check you guys out then. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to contact me, my website is thrivetherapyandconsulting.com. Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in.